morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today I'm going to be showing you one of the most exciting stadiums that we've had released in quite some time. Now, I don't exactly know what it's called. My translation here has come from the lovely David Hochmann over at RappelmannTCG.com and the lovely Antoine Boulay, who actually messaged me personally to tell me about the cards he was most excited about, this being one of them. Antoine's got it called Shrine of Commandments, and David's called it Forbidden Shrine. What's the actual name of it? I have no idea, but it's safe to say Shrine is in the name. I'm going to call it Forbidden Shrine for the time being, purely because it's a shorter name than Shrine of Commandments. But again, we'll have to wait to see what it's actually called when it comes over here. Now, we might as well start off talking about what it does, and the good news is, although the name changes, the translation is exactly the same with both my lovely Japanese-speaking friends. Put 1 damage counter on each Pokemon EX or GX between turns. Every Pokemon EX or Pokemon GX takes 1 damage counter between turns. This is an absolute game changer, ladies and gentlemen. Now, first of all, some of you might be thinking, hang on a second, Wassy. That sounds a little bit like Faded Town, and you're right, it is. Faded Town was an old stadium that did see a fair amount of play when Mega Evolution Pokemon were good, because it put 2 damage counters on Mega Evolution Pokemon between turns. This puts 1 damage counter on EXs and GXs, and ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely huge. Now, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. I could keep going like all day, but I'll give you a couple of examples. Let's say, for argument's sake, you've got an Ultra Necrozma, 190 HP, and we've talked a lot about the fact that there is a big difference between 190 HP and 180 HP. Now, at the moment, if we want just a standard counter for very weak Pokemon, like Dragon Pokemon, like Ultra Necrozma, we've got Dedenne. Dedenne from Forbidden Light, which for a double colorless energy, as long as you've got a lightning Pokemon on your bench, and it's super easy to just tech in like a Tapu Koko, free retreat, decent attack for a double colorless, I'll take it. Then you do 60 damage. So you add a choice band, you do 90 damage, with weakness you do 180, that'll get you a KO on a Dialga, but it won't get you a one-hit KO on Ultra Necrozma, because Ultra Necrozma's got 190 rather than 180. So what do? You play a couple Forbidden Shrines, you chuck one down on the field, and then your opponent takes 1 damage counter on their EXs and GXs between turns. Now, so do you, of course. But that's okay, because you desperately need to do an extra 10 damage. And there's no just quick and easy way to make Dedenne do an extra 10 damage. Now, don't get me wrong, we've got stuff like Professor Kukui, if you really want to use your only supporter for the turn, and sometimes you will, do an extra 20 damage, draw an extra 2 cards, that's fine. But it allows you to get the KO where otherwise you wouldn't. Something like a Buzzwole, for instance. Let's say you got a Tapu Bulu. Tapu Bulu does 180. And don't get me wrong, right, you can search for a choice band, then you get a one-hit KO on Buzzwole. But you've got to have a choice band every time you hit a Buzzwole. And if you put that choice band down too early, your opponent plays a field blower, you don't have your choice band anymore. If you can't find a choice band, then your opponent only takes 180, and maybe they use something like an Ace Roller, or maybe they just retreat to the bench, and you've got to find a promo Tapu Koko, then get the energy on, then attack to finish it off, and it gets super awkward. The great thing about Forbidden Shrine is, you wait until they've got a couple Buzzwole on the field, and you just whack it down. And then at the end of your turn, all of their Buzzwole take 10 damage. So then they're all in range, and every time a Buzzwole comes up, they're in range of your Tapu Bulu now. So you don't have to go searching for that choice band. It's over the top useful. Because here's the thing, right? All of a sudden, Tapu Bulu goes from, for goodness sake, now I'm only going to win this matchup if I can draw my choice band every time there's a Buzzwole in front of me. Especially since B-String has made Buzzwole borderline ridiculous. And now it's gone to, as long as I get my Forbidden Shrine in the first couple of turns, I'll be fine. Because it brings them all in range. And maybe your opponent heals it when it's only got 10 damage on. And maybe your opponent is able to search out a new Buzzwole and put it down on the field and get it active. But that's all getting super, super awkward at that stage. People stopped using Rainbow Energy in Buzzwole because the difference between 190 and 180 is absolutely phenomenal. This redresses that. I'll give you one more example because we'd hate to think the Buzzwole was just getting worse. Let's say a Buzzwole comes against a Zoroark. Well, pre-rotation, we've got Strong Energy, so Jet Punch does 50. Then we've got Diancie Prism Star, so Jet Punch does 70. Then we've got Choice Band, so Jet Punch does 100 to an EX or a GX. Doubled for weakness, Zoroark takes 100 damage. They get to survive. It's why when you're playing Buzzwole against Zoroark, you have to put 30 damage from a Jet Punch onto a benched Zoroark or Zorua, so that they're then in Jet Punch range later in the game. Well, hang on a second, if you're putting them just on 10 HP remaining, just chuck down Forbidden Shrine. And then you're absolutely fine. That's 3 fairly prominent examples. I could keep going, and I literally could for like a half hour, 40-minute video, just keep giving you examples of when 10 damage is going to be the difference in a KO and not a KO. The point is, it happens all the gosh darned time. And it makes this card crazy good. Now, of course, is it good enough? I had a really good question. One of my patrons over on the bonus podcast, where all I do is just answer questions from my patrons, over at patreon.com/PTCGRadio. Go check it out if you want to get involved and have me answer all your questions. And one of the questions was, are stadiums going to keep being played after rotation? Because as it stands at the moment, right, we got Parallel City and we got Brooklet Hill. And they're about the only stadiums seeing play. And Parallel City's about to rotate. Stadiums don't play a big part in the metagame at the moment. And the reason they don't play a big part in the metagame is because they're not good enough. If we have good stadiums, they will. If you go back a format or two, Skyfield saw a lot of play because it was great. Silent Lab saw a lot of play because it was great. We just don't have great stadiums at the moment. We got Parallel City and Brooklet Hill. They're pretty much the only 2 good stadiums we've got. Ergo, they're the only 2 stadiums that are seeing play. Makes perfect sense. I think this could see a lot of play. And I think it's about the maths. Because here's the thing, right? We're only going to play this. Now, doing extra damage is always good, but we're only going to play this if it hits the numbers. Because we all play 2 or 3 Field Blower, at minimum 1, but usually 2 or 3 Field Blower in our list nowadays. Which means you're not going to be playing a stadium unless it's really giving you an advantage. This is. It's doing that extra 10 damage, which could be the difference. Now, obviously, it's also doing 10 damage to your EXs and GXs, but you're just going to have to assess the board state. If doing 10 damage to your EXs and GXs is going to help your opponent more than doing 10 damage to their EXs and GXs is going to help you, don't play it. Leave it in your hand. There's no rule that you have to play stadiums. But this absolutely could be the difference in a lot of games between winning and losing. The thing is, one of the examples I just gave you was Buzzwole. Maybe you won't play this in Buzzwole because Brooklet Hill's too good. But in something like Vikavolt, Tapu, Boulay that doesn't need to play a particular stadium, I could see this being played. In counter decks that are playing Dedenne, you've now got a counter for Ultra Necrozma, and that's huge. Ultra Necrozma is looking like one of the best Pokemon in the format, and I sat down the other day and I had a look at every single fairy Pokemon that's been released from Sun and Moon onwards. Dedenne is, by quite a long way, the best general fairy tech we've got against Dragon Pokemon. Being 10 damage short of an Ultra Necrozma KO is ridiculous. But in comes Forbidden Shrine, and all of a sudden it's not 10 damage short, you're getting it. And the great thing is, unlike Choice Band, you don't need it this turn. You can do 180 and then hit it your next turn. Or you can hit it, do 10 to all of them, and then you've got that damage sitting there for whenever you choose to come up and use it. And the other thing I love about this, it's in your control. So we've got plenty of good stadiums like Ether Paradise Conservation Area. It means that your Lightning and Grass basic Pokemon take 30 less from attacks. It sounds so good. Why does it not see play? Because it's in your opponent's control. Because they attack and then you take damage. So if they play a Field Blower or if they replace a stadium, you don't get your damage reduced. They are the ones that have the say as to whether that stadium's in play when they attack, rather than Parallel City where you play it, your opponent loses their bench. Brooklet Hill, you play it, you search for a basic fighting or water Pokemon. It's in your control. Even Paradise Conservation isn't. That's why it's not seen very much play. Well, this, ladies and gentlemen, is a stadium that is in your control. I legitimately think it is going to be a great, great card. I think it's going to see a lot of play. I think it is going to swing matchups. I think there are going to be a whole bunch of matchups that literally get won or lost based on this card going down. I've given you a bunch of examples. There's a lot more. I'm actually going to go out on a limb here and call this a 5 Wassy card. Although I did get very little sleep last night, so do, roast me in the comments if need be. But what I see here is a stadium that is in your control, that can swing entire matchups one way or the other. And a card that has the potential to swing entire matchups really does deserve 5 Wassies. But agree or disagree, do it in the comment section. Go nuts, be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wassy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus pods and all of that stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.